SC, where there is no task team established. For instance, in South Africa, kidnapping is a new thing. Extortion is a new thing. So you could not have had that thing in the organogram because extortion is very new. It started here in Cape Town a few years ago. Kidnapping, it came from Mozambique a few years ago and all that. And unfortunately, both of them, they need a lot of skill and dedicated people and machinery. For instance, kidnapping needs a lot of equipment of doing different things on it. And those equipment will take money to be there and all that. They are new things, they are specialized, so they'll have to put money on it. There will be other things some other time that was not part of it that will have to be policed. That is not in the organogram, but we'll have to put them as a task team in response. And then some of them, those task team will have to end because maybe that problem has ended. So it's going to be a running target, this thing of task team, but permanently there as coming and going. But the question for me still stands that if there are these 10 task teams, whether exist or not, why on that particular day cancel one?
It seems to me that the National Commissioner, presumably in consultation with his deputy commissioners for the very different sections like policing and so on, can establish a task team at any time for a specific purpose.
For instance, extortion and I think those are the youngest. Extortion and the kidnapping team are the youngest to respond to the new crime in the market, because those are two new crimes in the market.
Doesn't have to be on the organogram.
No. Otherwise, if you wait for organogram, that takes about 3 to 5 years. Yeah. The criminals will be laughing all the way to the bank, waiting for organogram. Yeah. And ask people, why don't you arrest? No, organogram is coming.
So although the PKTT was established to serve a particular purpose, it was a task team. This team continued to exist and to be funded from the police budget, and according to your evidence, it's still in existence.
Well, I don't know if it was funded from the police alone. I don't know if prosecutors that are dedicated, they were paid by the police. I don't know. Maybe justice will help us one day, that those dedicated prosecutors, for instance, there will have to be an extra money for special courts. There will be an extra money for magistrates and prosecutors that go there a little bit out of their work. So I would have loved to know who pays for those. But this money we talk about is paying for one component, and that component is the police.
And that is why you had the interministerial committee.
That is why I'm there.
Yeah.
Yeah, with other ministers, so that they look after their specific activities in their departments.
Now, I would have thought, or most people would have thought, that the establishment of the Independent Directorate Against Corruption was welcomed. But from the evidence of Lieutenant General Kwenazi, and it also appears to be the case from your evidence, that there seems to be, let me put it neutrally, some kind of issues against IDEC, especially in the wake of their arrest of Lieutenant General Khumalo. What exactly is your complaint about IDEC?
No, I would not complain about the work of the IDEC, but I can't have a structure, such a powerful structure, that has no oversight. That would be my main complaint. That up to this point, I don't know any form of oversight, like the IPEC with the police, like the judge with the Hawks. So otherwise, you'll find the people running amok without anybody checking them and telling them to fall in line.
But you're not able to comment on the allegation that for some reason or other, Lieutenant General Khumalo was, you know, of course, he was arrested and he appeared in court.
Well, that's a story that is on the air. The Honorable Member Ngola yesterday said he will have to find the letter. But that's a story I know, that the letter was written from the office of the minister to deal with this matter. If that is the case, it's absolutely out of order. If it could be established, I think it's a matter that will have to be corrected and take a very serious corrective measures on it. That the office of the minister cannot write the law enforcement and enforcing agency to say do it. It can't be.
Then just a last aspect relating to the terms of reference of this honourable committee to make recommendations to Parliament on possible reforms and remedial measures, because it's quite clear that there are a number of problems, and I think you've addressed them very well. But some people may be concerned because Parliament will also have to adopt an approach, and we've got a constitution. It must be done in accordance with the constitution, must be constitutionally compliant. But a number of people would be concerned about your approach to policing. We've heard you, I don't want to repeat the words here in this august chamber, but it appears to be an approach where, you know, you've just got to attack the criminals and shoot them, and you yourself have mentioned you're concerned about the right to bail. General Nkosazana, who seems to share this approach, he complains about the trade unions getting people off their disciplinary hearings. He complains about the media using allegedly confidential or information and putting it in the papers. And you also seem to have a problem with our system of parole.
There was a famous statement here that was associated with me, shoot to kill.
Yes.
So even on the road, when the young people see me, they'll say, shoot to kill. I've made a challenge, and I want to repeat here. Show me where Cele says so. Either in a print form or electronic. I've never uttered that statement, that shoot to kill.
Well, thankfully, I didn't repeat it, yeah.
Yeah. It has been interpreted from my stance to say police cannot die with the guns in their hands. And I stand by that. SC, there are two ways of policing in South Africa. You police the masses that have a right to complain, have a right to march and all that kind of stuff. And you cannot use force to those people. That's why you train POP, public order policing, to go and deal with those people that are legitimately complaining about those things. There are those that they plan to eliminate whoever on their way as they go to do their work. Those people like cash in transit. Therefore, that's why you develop your NIU, your TROT, your Special Task Force. So the policing will be forever to approach what is a danger in front of you is an ordinary South Africans demanding.
Right, we'll pause on that for the moment. This is the National Pulse. That's where you are connected to. We'll get your calls, not quite now, later on, but you can WhatsApp voice note right away. As soon as we get a chance, we will get your thoughts right now. From you next. And of course, we get back to the Parliamentary Committee just now.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. Easy to apply, no medical examinations, and no paperwork. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Design meets downtime on My Design Rules this Monday evening at 7 on S3. This week, our duos are challenged to create a family space for relaxing and connecting. Expect bold ideas, creative risks, and design drama along the way. Whose design will make the judges feel right at home and whose will leave them out in the cold. Open up your everyday to the extraordinary with My Design Rules. Monday evenings at 7, repeat Saturdays at 2, and Sundays at 4 p.m. Only on S3.
The 23rd Nelson Mandela Annual Lecture is almost here. This year's lecture will be delivered by UN Special Rapporteur on the occupied Palestinian territories, Francesca Albanese, a leading human rights expert who spent years championing justice and international law. Under the theme, Enhancing Global Peace and Cooperation, this promises to be a historic moment. Catch it live on SAFM on Saturday, 25 October 2025 from 3 p.m. You don't want to miss it. The lecture is one of Nelson Mandela Foundation's most significant platforms for dialogue on global issues. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. You're listening to the National Pulse.
Okay, just to tell you, we've just lost feed with the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee for the moment. Let's see if we can get it back. But in the meantime, what we can do is definitely talk to you. So what are your thoughts? I want to get to your WhatsApps, not so much live calls, but WhatsApps, and you can do that immediately via voice note. Let's start with this.
Good day, Ashraf. This is Zippo from Newcastle. This seems like Beytele is trying to absolve himself and trying to be on the right side with evading questions that implicate him and try to bury Sanzam Mkunu. We're in trouble in this country, and I hope God can help us. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I like the
Hi,
seriousness
it's
of what you're saying.
Yeah, Bazuga from Bromerspruit. There's something comes on my mind, wondering about what happened to the Honops River constables. I think these big five cartels, they know something about it, and these generals and commissions and lieutenants of these subs. Bye.
Okay, and here's another.
The questions about hotels and where the police stayed gives the impression that there are certain sectors of our government that think that only them must be comfortable, whereas there's evidence that shows that where police have been kept to be comfortable, they are performing. So there's a serious issue with us and them in terms of our government structures, that police must just be kept in cheap and inferior accommodations. Thanks, Sibongi here.
Okay, that's an interesting one in terms of who stays where, right?
Ashraf and the SFM, Mr. We keep on hiring the security clusters, from Amapanyasa until SNDF. You can call the names, they've got, different names, but we don't need that security, actually. We don't need the people to cut on us. We just need the people, the agriculture and the health. So that, the people, they're not going to queue when they're arriving at the hospital. The people, they will having something to eat. We cannot just keep on hiring the security, giving them some guns, running around here all the time.
Okay, let's, okay, I hear that about security, giving them guns. Butchana in Rosebank. Hello.
Good afternoon, my brother.
Yes, how's it, man?
You know, Good. I didn't see the lawyers for Begitse. He came there, he looks like a person that was going to present a testimony honestly, as compared to his comrades. Grossly dishonest witness that you can ever find. And what I like about Begitse, he cut through the pile of those statements, the pile of the speeches that were intended to bury the truth. And I'm saying to you, it is time this Senzo Mchunu must be quickly arrested. And by the way, those statements and speeches did belong to the ANC, NEC, and
Okay.
the branches.
All right, so you're saying based upon what you've heard, there's grounds for the police minister officially, not Senzo Mchunu, to be arrested. Okay, Butana, you've got that done. I understand that the ad hoc committee now is just adjourned and they'll be back on Tuesday. Bramoro, what do you have to say?
Thank you, sir. The ex-police minister could have probably done better by informing the country about the crisis within the forces. At the time that he was serving in the force, which is serving as the police minister, but not today that he is offline. You understand? I'm just disappointed that he's bold enough to inform us about the crisis in the force, defending the right thing, but he couldn't do it while he was the minister. I keep asking myself, had it not been General Lieutenant Mkhwanazi, were we going to be informed about this current crisis? So maybe if there are people we have to sacrifice for the betterment of the security forces, Mr. Bekitele should not be left out. Nevertheless, I expect suspended Minister Senzo Mchunu to just tender his resignation. There is nothing that can save him. If truly he loves the country, he should just resign for a proper person to take over the affairs of the SAPS, because South Africa deserves better. No policeman needs to lose his or her life. We need to have everyone on board in resolving the crisis confronting the country.
Okay, I think many may well agree with your point of view. Thank you for that, Bramoro. Saying, talking about people needing to resign, and that's what they need to be doing. And you may wonder what would have happened if the Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi did not, spill the beans? Is that the right word? What would have happened? What would we be talking about today?
Good afternoon, Ashraf. I thank Mr. Tsele for testifying. I think now South Africans know where it went wrong. And now the responsible departments must take control. That's Mr. Ntuta from Cape Town. Thank you.
Okay, got that. In fact, there's more comments saying you got to love South Africa. Everything under the ANC is a mess. I saw Mkhunu crying as if we are going to buy his story. We know that crocodiles cry too. And there's a comment about sports gambling I'll talk about just after the news. It's 4 o'clock now. Let's get the news with Angela.
Thank you, Ashraf. On the top stories, Madlanga Commission hears of attempted prison visit to Molefe, and Rubio speaks on an international stabilization force for Gaza. For SFM News, I am Ondalambana, and a very good afternoon. The Madlanga Commission has heard how Sidibeng District Commissioner Brigadier Mbangwangwashu attempted to visit murder-accused and alleged criminal cartel member Katiso Katie Molefe outside of prison visiting hours. Molefe was arrested on 6 December 2024. Witness C says that Brigadier Ngwashu pitched up at the Correctional Service Centre driving a motor vehicle without a number plate. This is the same vehicle that was being driven by Molefe's girlfriend when he appeared in court. Witness C says that police also found tracksuits and an affidavit by Witness B for the warrant of arrest when Molefe's prison cell was raided.
So it is said that Brigadier Ngwashu was advised that his visit at the correctional facility, it was after normal working hours. Therefore, he wouldn't be able to see his brother-in-law, Mr. Katiso Molefe. And by that, then the prison officials can only take the clothes as food is not allowed into the prison facility.
Former Police Minister Bheki Cele says he accepts the withdrawal by KZN Police Commissioner Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi that he received money from the attempted murder accused Vusimuzi Matlala. Cele is appearing before Parliament's ad hoc committee that was established to look into allegations of criminal infiltration, corruption and political interference in the justice system. These allegations were made by Mkhwanazi in July this year. Last night, the committee's evidence leader, Advocate Norman Arendse, read out a message from Mkhwanazi withdrawing the allegation, indicating that the bank account number was incorrect, meaning Cele was not the recipient. Cele told MPs that he accepts that Mkhwanazi had made an honest mistake.
One police officer I like is Mkhwanazi. Not because he's Mkhwanazi, not because he's beautiful or what, no. Because he knows his work. But Mkhwanazi is a human being like me and you. He's got his faults. And I believe that the mistakes he made are genuine mistakes.
A 38-year-old former police officer has been sentenced to life imprisonment at the Nelspruit Regional Court in Mpumalanga for the murder of Xolani Brown Lubisi. Said Sipho Dlamini shot and killed Lubisi in 2014 and later dumped his body in a Machado drop along the Anfort Hall Road. Dlamini was charged alongside Xolani Mate, who was later acquitted due to lack of evidence. Dlamini has been handed additional 15 years for robbery with aggravating circumstances. The provincial MPA spokesperson Monica Nyuswa says they welcome the sentence.
The court heard that on the 31st of March 2014, Dlamini and Lubisi met at a tavern in Cap Maiden where they consumed alcohol together. The accused later requested the deceased to accompany him to Nelspruit in Lubisi's vehicle. During the trip, while seated in the backseat, Dlamini drew his service pistol and shot Lubisi in the back of the head.
4 elephants have been spotted roaming near the Zuchwa area in Botswana-Galagadi region, marking the first sighting in the region in a decade. SANPark spokesperson JP Lowe says the iconic animals were spotted just 70 kilometers off the Galagadi Transfrontier Park, the only major park under SANPark's management without elephants.
The sighting was confirmed by the Department of Wildlife and National Parks in Botswana, who is SANPark's conservation partners in the cross-border management of the Galagadi Transfrontier Park. This marks the closest approach of elephants to the park in nearly a decade. The last recorded sighting dates back to 2015, when a small group of elephants briefly ventured into the area before moving on. While the open landscape of the Kalahari is not traditionally elephant habitat, the movement of these animals could signal shifting migration patterns or the expanding range of elephants in southern Botswana.
The U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says lots of countries are interested in contributing troops to the planned International Stabilization Force for Gaza. He was speaking at the Coordination Center set up to oversee the ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. Rubio did not specify who, but insisted that Israel had to be comfortable with those chosen, and he did not rule out UN involvement.
The problem is that some of these countries can't participate in this unless they have a mandate from the UN. So maybe it'll be a UN resolution. We'll find the right formula to do it. We're working on some language on that now that hopefully will be in place. There may be another way to do it, but we will need something because some of these countries, by their own laws, can't participate in these efforts unless they have some sort of international mandate or flag that they're under.
Recapping the top story, the Madlanga Commission has heard how Sedibeng District Commissioner Brigadier Mbangwa Ngwashu attempted to visit murder-accused and alleged criminal cartel member Kadiso Katie Molefe outside of prison visiting hours. I'm on Delambana for SFM News Headlines at 4:30.
In sports, the Sour Pirates face uphill battle in CAF Champions League return leg and McLaren drivers wary of Verstappen at Mexican Grand Prix. More details at 4:30.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the R21 southbound in Kempton Park, a crash before the R24 airport interchange. The N1 southbound in Pretoria is a stationary vehicle after Rigel Avenue, and the M1 northbound queuing towards Crown interchange. In KZN, the M7 westbound queuing at the N2 highway, the N2 northbound, a stationary vehicle after Spaghetti Junction, and Umgeni Road westbound, slow moving through Springfield Park. In Cape Town, the end to inbound is where veldfires reported, with smoke affecting visibility before the Spine Road exit. The N7 Jakes Gadwil Drive southbound, queuing towards Jakkelsvlei Avenue, and Voortrekker Road eastbound, slow moving through Maitland. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This October month, SAFM joins the world in breast cancer awareness. We bring you conversations that highlight the importance of early detection, survivor stories that inspire hope, and expert advice that could save lives. Together, let's spread awareness and support the fight against breast cancer. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
Well, it's so wonderful to connect with you to the National Pulse. Someone reminded me the other day about how it often says, hey, 104 to 107, which means we can be covered nationwide. I would extend that to say not just on radio, but you can listen to this show, the entire SAFM, in fact, on streaming live. You can listen via YouTube as well. And if you actually go to our X platform, you'll also see visuals of the show. That means as we're talking now. The same impact on YouTube. So whichever way you're listening, however and wherever you are in the country, in the world, we have got you covered, and we've got every reason, well, you've got every reason to connect with us. Now, to connect, you can call in 086 000 2032 and then WhatsApp 0614 104 107. And that's text or message. If you're sending a voice note, it must be 30 seconds, please. Tweet hashtag The National Pulse, tag me, Ashraf Garda, and SAFM Radio. Just a point about, so two things clearly. Now, we know that the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee hearing has adjourned until Tuesday with Becky Cele, right? That we know. You can comment about that too. And at the same time, of course, the Madlanga Commission running parallel, thoughts that you may have picked up on that too. And then the issue we just touched on now, which is the issue of that Tumi spoke about in the sports bulletin, about gambling with sports people in the NBA and the impact that it has. And I mean, what do you feel about it? Gambling brings huge money into sport, huge money. But at what cost? Think about that, and what's the way around it? While we're at that, I can tell you now that there's been news of Africa Mayibuye movement removing its first deputy president. So we'll talk about that shortly. Here's a comment: sports gambling must be investigated when it comes to all football European refs, top football European refs. How can one decision oppose the same decision based on if the team is big club or small club? For example, how they interpret a penalty, foul, or offside. They can even corrupt the VAR by using those 3D images, replacing them with actual facts. Brian Mabaya from Project Glen. Brian certainly has got a lot that he wants to get off his chest, isn't it, Brian? I'll tell you what, let's then get to this issue. So here's the story. This is a new movement, yeah. Africa Mayibuye movement has confirmed that its national officials have decided to remove Noloba Balo Nqinga as the first deputy president of the organization. According to the party, Nqinga allegedly held unauthorized meetings, and this is the important part, unauthorized meetings with the leader of the Umkhonto we Sizwe party, Jacob Zuma, as well as the Mpumalanga businesswoman Mary Party, without the knowledge or consent of the party. So is it a big deal, big fuss for the party, for the rest of us who may or may not be supportive of where that party is? Let's get the opinion, or the thoughts of Dr. Ntsikelelo Breakfast, who's a political analyst from the Nelson Mandela University. Appreciate your time, Dr. Breakfast. As always, good to connect with you on the National Pulse.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. First of all, I mean, is this a grounds to remove anybody when they haven't? I'm looking at within a party structure as opposed to an employer-employee, that, you know, somebody allegedly has an unauthorized meeting with the leader of another party who just happened to have been the former leader of the country, right? Is that a grounds to dismiss someone?
Well, I think it depends on the side of the fence you are sitting on, because one could make the argument that this is a purge, you know, that basically this is typical of the organizational culture of Marxist and Leninist organizations who tend to purge people because the argument is that this person is leading a fractional group within the party. But that is the manner in which this matter has been addressed. I mean, I can't help but think about the EFF and think about the MK, because I think we've seen this movie before. And interestingly, Floyd Shivambu, coming from those two organizations, he has been lamenting about them for not having the culture of democracy. But in the same way, he is also doing the same thing, because, the structure also that is in place of Maibuya has not been democratically elected. But, my reading of the situation is that it appears as if this is a unilateral decision. So it means that this decision has been made on top and brought down to the bottom. Typical of what has been happening. So, yeah, it looks like history is basically repeating itself.
Okay, but one thing is a unilateral decision, which, do I take it, if you're saying unilateral, it can only come from Floyd Shivambu? Who else could make that unilateral decision?
Of course, the gist of the matter is, the fact of the matter is, you don't have a structure that is elected by the rank and file. The structure that is in place now has not been democratically elected. I don't know what is the rationale that is put. Of course, the party has just been set up. But what I'm saying is that you see some of the tendencies that we have seen in MK in particular, but also even in the EFF, whereby some decisions are made unilaterally. Floyd has actually confirmed some of those things. But I'm saying that in the same way, he's also doing the same thing. So I don't know, but there seems to be lack of democracy in Marxist and Leninist organizations in South Africa, in particular.
Okay, but that suggested that other parties are more democratic and they get it right compared to the parties you just mentioned?
No, the issue is that, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that Marxist and Leninist organizations, you must understand their history. They've always been accused of human rights abuses, with the history of Stalin and so on. So they are always on the back foot, and when something of this nature happens, it sort of like confirms that thesis, of them not being a democrat. That is not to say that other organizations have a democracy, but the extent to which democracy is absent is really palpable in Marxist and Leninist.
What about so outside of ruling by decree that you talk about, right? How much do you know about this meeting with Jacob Zuma and in the context of parties and a different political party ideology? Is that meeting significant? Grounds to actually dismiss. So one is the fact that the person has been dismissed, but do they have a point anyway?
That's the question. Because also the way, is it wrong, for instance, to hold meetings with this person or that person? Does that warrant a legal action to be instituted against a particular member in terms of putting the member on a suspension? I'm not convinced, in my view. That's why I'm saying that I cannot rule out the possibility of a purge, because it appears as if this is more of a purge as opposed to the issue of discipline, because it is reported as if the member has flouted a particular policy, but it's not quite clear which policy the person has flouted.
Here's the other part, considering, you sort of connecting the dots between the EFF and the MK party and now the Africa Maibuya party, unless there's a suspicion that this person who, the second deputy president, having allegedly spoken to Jacob Zuma, right, would do so on the basis of, passing on information and therefore, having their feet in both camps, that sort of thing, as opposed to, say, Helen Zille meeting Cyril Ramaphosa, which we know they differ ideologically, but maybe they've got reasons to try and reach consensus on a certain issue.
I would accept that with a pinch of salt, because one can also argue the exact opposite and say, what if the person was posing a threat to Floyd? Because, there has not been a conference for elections within the party. So that's why I'm saying it depends on the side of the fence you're sitting on. But when looking at the charge that has been reported, I don't think that it does justify the suspension in my view. That's why I would opt for a purge as opposed to a discipline or anything of the sort. Yeah.
I mean, I see we do have a statement coming from the person who's been axed in this case here, and I mean, she's saying that the meeting with the President Jacob Zuma was personal and had nothing to do with the Africa Mayabuya movement. So, I mean, that's just one. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. The meeting with Mary Party was in her capacity as a key stakeholder running a project aimed at unifying progressive political parties. So, I mean, that's just so interesting. Would you think, it may be difficult to prove, but does this damage the Africa Mayabuya Party, or does this, in fact, entrench the current leadership? Because there's two parts. One is the internal party. The other is how convincing they are to you and I as potential voters.
No, of course it does. It does dent the image of the party. It does damage the party because it frames a particular national discourse now that the party is basically going through what the MK has gone through, which is internal divisions and so on. So they need to address this issue before they build up to the local government elections, because it's a serious threat. Remember, this is a new kid on the block, and for a party like this to be affected by this, it's a serious matter. I don't think that they should downplay this.
Okay, let's leave it at that. It's a serious matter, effectively a blight maybe on the running of the Africa Mayabuya Party. That's according to Dr. Ntsikelelo Breakfast. Much appreciate your time. I wonder if you have any thoughts about that with the removal of the first, in this case, the first deputy president of the organization. What do you make of that? I'd like to get your thoughts about that too. There's an update on the kidnapping story in Parktown, Johannesburg, right after this.
The SABC News Portal is your one-stop digital platform for all the news you need. Stay connected with the latest and breaking stories. Listen to all SABC radio stations live, including podcasts, and also watch the SABC News channel with clips and live streams of all the big news events. Simply download the SABC News app on your smartphone from the Play or App Store. SABC News, independent and impartial.
X at SAFM Radio and at Ashraf Garda.
Right, and by the way, one of the things of the G20 summit, which is now less than a month away, is there has to be dry runs, and there's a traffic flow dry run in many parts of Gauteng. Starting today, tomorrow, and I believe there's already been some serious disruptions. If you are one of those people affected by the disruptions, well, let us know. I'd love to know. It's important because, how else would they do it if they didn't do it? You'd say, well, these guys don't prepare, so how do they not prepare without preparing, if you get my point? But then it does affect you. So let me hear what you have to say about it. Are you affected by these traffic flows or non-flows? I know some people went to the airport, came back, maybe not half an hour later, but 4 hours later. Example, right? 086 000 2032. In the meantime, there was news a few hours ago of 3 alleged kidnapping suspects who were then shot, killed, in fact, by SAPS tactical response team in Parktown. That's in Johannesburg. This is what Major General Kekana said about this.
They were following up on a wanted suspect who specialized in kidnappings and cash and transitized. And when they arrived here, just at Smith Street before they drive into town, they noticed this suspicious vehicle, and that matched the description of the suspects, and which they've been trying to follow up. and they tried to stop it, and the occupants, rather than stopping, they decided they own the world. They decided they own the country, and the roads, nobody will do anything, including law enforcement. And unfortunately, they shot at police, and the police had to defend themselves and the team that was there. And 3 of them, as you can see, those guys, they are lying there. And what I can allude is that one of them, it's linked to a cash in transit heist that happened on the 6th of April, 2003 in Sebokeng, where 9 suspects were fatally wounded and 2 were arrested. And through those 2 were arrested, that's what led us to know who is the other suspect who managed to escape. And further than that, during June this year, a Chinese national was kidnapped in Landlaagte police precinct. Now, they are linked to that case of that kidnapping. And last week, on the 14th at Randbeck, an South African Indian male, they tried to kidnap, but that person managed to drive through. He collided deliberately with one of their vehicles because they were using more than one vehicle. And when he when he collided with them, he moved away, and managed to escape. A case of attempted kidnapping was opened at Randbeck. That's where, and the description, including the full description of the vehicle, which now became additional charges to the one wanted and his friends, new friends now, came in. And today, they are facing attempted murder, possession of unlicensed firearms, because we found a shotgun and a pistol in their possession. We are still going to check the vehicles as soon as our forensic teams have finished. We are still going to check the vehicle, its authenticity, who's the owner, and whether the number plates are false or what, including the engine. And I think further developments will come through. We don't even know whether it's those firearms are the only 2, because they were the ones that are clearly visible. When forensics are done, and I think further developments will be given of maybe other seizures or recoveries. The vehicle obviously will be going to the police storage camp, and that's what will be happening for now.
Okay, there we are regarding the shooting of 3 suspected hijackers in Parktown, very close to Wits University in that case there in Johannesburg. Right, let's get feedback from you on some of the issues we've been talking about. You're on the pulse, I need to feel you. Naturally, one of the biggest ones of all is the issue of Becky Cele, but I'm going to start with the issue of gambling.
Ashraf, good afternoon, and this is Flores from the beautiful Winelands. Ashraf, I think there should be a cap on gambling, like certain hours. It's so sad to hear that students using NSFAS money for online gambling, and it's a serious issue. Marriages are being affected, work are being affected, people just get poor. No, I'm not a gambler myself. My wife sometimes play Hollywood bets, but yeah, I keep her on her toes. But yeah, I don't like it at all, man. There's nothing good from it. Have a good show. Bye-bye.
I think maybe the fundamental issue is gamblers don't know where to stop. Never mind the line that says winners know where to stop. Gamblers don't know where to stop. So for every big winner that wins big, there are thousands, if not millions of people who, as you've said, Florence, they just lose control of themselves, and you just can't get them back.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Hope you are well. It's Peter here. I just had to say I never liked Mr. Cele, but since he started with that ad hoc committee in contributing there, I think there's a lot on his chest he wanted to bring out. And I think, by the way he mentioned these culprits or these people allegedly, Paulo Sullivan, all those people, it's as if most of these policemen which coming now to the table, Ashraf, I think they were very, very scared. Even Becky Cele, I think he didn't have the power to do what he did now. And I think people should be very, very carefully listening to what he has to say and how he say it. I'm not saying it's clean, but the way this thing is opened up, Ashraf, hey, thank you.
Okay, well, I think many people feel so. You see, initially it's like, no, man, leave all this, just another waste of time and money. I mean, seriously, do we really want to just ignore this? Look at how many things are coming out.
Hi, good morning, Ashraf. Sello from Road Report. I think South Africa needs a leader like Ibrahim Traore. He will clean everything, then we'll go back to normal. Thank you.
What is normal when you say go back to normal? What is normal for us in South Africa?
Good afternoon, Ashraf. I'm Svido in Watema, Egurudin. No. Bramoro is wrong. Begicele is one minister in the cabinet who always highlighted the problems in his department of police in particular, without defending indefensible. Hence, he was even bashed by the opposition parties as well as some members of the public, accusing him of saying he uttered the statement that says shoot to kill, of which he denied today. I also didn't hear him uttering those words, therefore I couldn't argue with him on it. All I'm trying to say here, Begicele has never shied away from the real problems of his department. No, thank you.
So do you think Begicele is one of the good guys in this very, very complicated world and web of, politics and power? Think about it. Right. What about Mayibuya?
Hi, Ashraf. This thing of second deputy of Mayibuya being suspended from the party, if she had a meeting, for instance, with the ANC, she wouldn't have been gone. Floyd just have this personal hate towards MK and the EFF. That's what it is, Relake, Uptown.
So you think that's just it? It's just about hate with two parties or two political party leaders, maybe? Is it as simple as that?
Hi, Ashraf. I just want to thank Begicele for exposing many things that we're not aware of. He's one of the most honest politicians we have, and I wish Jacob Zuma didn't fire him when he was a police commissioner, because by then things were running nicely in police. But yeah, we are here. Thanks to Begicele. He's our hero. Thank you.
He's your hero.
Kelly here.
Okay, what about the person who made the first pronouncements, blew the whistle on what's happening in South Africa with regard to policing? By the way, I mean, when we think about policing, who's been the best minister of police, and or has there been a time when our police service, it was called just SAP before, right? Has it been a time when it just worked so well? We were like saying that's world class. For example, we have a world class banking system. Have we ever been able to say that our policing in a democratic South Africa has been world class? When has it been at its best? Which year? Which era? Who was the person in charge? Think about that. Ponder over it. Let's get the news headlines. Here's Ondela.
Thank you, Ashraf, for the news headlines. 3 suspected kidnappers who are also linked to cash-in-transit robberies have been fatally shot in a shootout with the police in Parktown in Johannesburg this afternoon. The Madlanga Commission has heard how alleged criminal cartel member Vusi Ket Matlala was persuaded by Police Minister Senzo Mchunu and General Shadrack Sibia to open a case over his missing Rolex watch. And Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky is in London meeting the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. He will later hold talks with more than 20 countries that are supporting Ukraine. A full update follows at the top of the hour with Greg House.
SAFM guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N12 R24 westbound in Bedfordview, slow moving on both routes towards Giluli's interchange. The N1 northbound in Centurion has a stationary vehicle after Botha Avenue, and Grayson Drive in Sandton is where a crash is reported at the M1 highway. In KZN, the M4 northbound queuing towards Virginia Airport, on the N3 eastbound, a stationary truck after Cliffdale, and the M7 queuing at the N2 highway. In Cape Town, the M5 southbound queuing towards the N2 highway, the R44 southbound queuing at Annandale Road, and on Coburg Road southbound in Milnerton, a crash near Racecourse Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Tuming Khapele.
Okay, so you know what? You can watch us on YouTube. You can check us on the Twitter feed on streaming live, and you'll see that Tumi's wearing Azzurri, the Azzurri Italian football club, a team rather. But having said that, she wants to talk about the team all in black.
You need to be specific. It's the Italy women's side jersey.
Oh, I see, okay. But it's the Italian football team.
Yeah, it is. Well, Orlando Pirates face a tough task this weekend as they try to overturn a 3-0 first leg loss to DRC's Lupopo in the CAF Champions League. No South African team has ever come back from such a deficit in African competition. And kickoff is at 3 p.m. tomorrow at Orlando Stadium, with the winner advancing to the group stage next month. Here's Orlando Pirates coach Abdeslam Wadu.
I have seen a great character of my players, of my team, trying to score goals, going forward, not just protecting this goal. We have seen that during all the game we tried to score more goals. Unfortunately, we didn't have this efficiency in the box. But let's say I hope they kept these 5 goals they didn't score for this Saturday.
Well, elsewhere, Sheffield have been deducted 12 points after filing for administration by the EFL. Sheffield was already bottom of the championship and are now on -6 points. A notice was filed with the Insolvency and Companies Court at the High Court this morning, and the EFL had previously charged the club with multiple breaches of regulations after they failed to pay players' wages on time. In the meantime, it's El Clasico time this weekend, and Barcelona will be without star forward Rafinha as they go into a top-of-the-table clash with Real Madrid on Sunday. The Brazilian has been suffering from a hamstring injury for the last month, but will not be fit in time for the game. In terms of hockey, newly appointed South African Hockey Association CEO Pico Mbuke has discussed his strategic vision for the sport in the country as he embarks on his term. Now, Mbuke was appointed at the beginning of last month and has spent the time finding his feet and assessing where his priorities will lie for the immediate future of the men's and women's game. The seasoned sports administrator has shared where he would like to see the association and its teams by the time that he leaves his position at some point in the future.
I think for me, it's to have stability in the sense of improved stability as in our teams, but also as South African hockey. I don't want to be bold to say I want to be in the top 5, but I think we're on a trajectory of building right now from where we had. And ideally for me, I would love our men to be in the top 10 and competing consistently against the top countries. Our females to start climbing up the ranks, but we also provide them opportunities with more international exposure.
On to tennis, Selena Rybakina clinched the 8th and last spot at next month's WTA finals when she beat Victoria Mboko 6-3 and 7-6 to reach the Pan Pacific semi-finals in Tokyo. The 2022 Wimbledon champion joins the elite field in Saudi Arabia after a successful run of form that also saw her win the Ningbo Open in China last week. Rybakina will play 6th seed Linda Noskova of the Czech Republic in the semi-finals tomorrow. I'll have more on other sports in the next hour.
Okay, I must say we've had so many people commenting about the gambling story. I mean, obviously, people have personal views about gambling from a moral point, religious point, whether they like it. I don't gamble, just so you know. But that's the one thing. But there are many others very concerned about how it's become so mainstream in our life.
True.
The reality in South African football, South African sport, I'm only talking South Africa. If you remove the gambling sponsors from the sports, at this point in time,
they won't make that much money.
Problem. But by persisting, they have headline sponsorship because they're top of mind for obvious reasons.
Of course.
Which does mean that they want to ensure that you and I and everybody else are even more tempted to gamble as like buying a cool drink. You know, that like,
True.
hey, don't forget us. So another conversation for maybe next week. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we'll actually get more reaction in the next hour in terms of what the current NBA players think about this.
SAFM's award-winning drama department presents to you the radio drama series Skyline.
Search cockpit, medical emergency now.
Cabin crew to your stations.
Where the skies promise adventure, but behind the cabin doors, untold secrets are found.
He's signing off on cheap parts they installed like it's nothing.
Catch the radio drama series every Saturday at 9 p.m. on SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
All right, let's get to the markets with Paswane Mpatlele, who's a senior account manager at Makwe Fund Managers. You've got all the news globally and locally. Paswane, you there?
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I certainly can. Go for it.
Fantastic. Well, the U.S. delivered of the inflation data after the big pause due to the government shutdown causing disruptions, but they pointed to good news. They increased below expectation at 3%, and on a month-on-month, it was below expectations. This increased generally the positive sentiment around investors of rate cuts happening next week and holding the December cut still alive. And this development has also gave investors the rough skin to continue to absorb the volatility and concerns around government shutdown that is generally expected to end mid-November, with the US and China trade deal getting to some form of agreement in the early November, with the highest level of tariff expected in the market sitting at 40%. The US also reflected on some business activity in the month of October, overall showing growth in service and manufacturing positive momentum, which helped the momentum of the dollar and the yields, meanwhile easing the losses of the gold price at flat at $4,130 an ounce as the volatility of gold drops below 30 clearly, ending a 9-week run. Oil has started its first week of gains after some time at $65.70 a barrel, up 0.2. Equities, when we look at them in general, we're seeing an uphold in the US as the earnings momentum is very supportive. Nasdaq is up 1%, S&P and Dow up 0.8. In Europe, we're seeing gains only from FTSE up 0.3. Locally, we've eased our losses down to 0.2 currently as we gain some marginal gains in industrials up 0.1, resources down 0.5, financials down 0.3. When you look at the rand, it's sitting at good levels of 17.24, waiting for that breakthrough below 20. Rand against the euro 20.05, rand against the pound 22.98.
Right, perfect. Thanks for that. You have a great weekend, right? So, yeah, the weekend starts now, I would think, for you. But it does mean we've got time to take more calls from you. Calls, WhatsApp, comments. I need to hear you. Let's get to it.
Ashraf Garda is streaming live now on Facebook, YouTube, and X at SAFM Radio. You're listening to the National Pulse.
And I see Terence saying, good afternoon, Ashraf. I will say Becky he's the best minister that was in charge of the SAPS. Because I asked the question, who was the best minister for police we've ever had, and which was the best era where things just worked? I mean, like, seriously worked. Has there been a sense that we felt safe in, and I'm only talking democratic South Africa? If that's the case, then I want to know, from someone saying he's the best to someone saying no.
Hi, Ezra, Shodi speaking from Mamelodi. Grootman, Begikele must stop lying about Matala. That's one thing for sure. I remember very well that time he was a minister. He did come and raid at Mamelodi. That time when Boko Haram was in power, like too much power. And Matala was in the list of Boko Haram guys, was one of the top guys there. He must stop lying. Eyakhuluma iqiniso lo muntu.
Okay, there's more. He must stop lying, is what you say. What do others say about it? So listen, when you call, you put your city, your suburb on the map. So Joburg, Durban, Polokwane, Cape Town, Eastern Cape, Western Cape, and I've missed 100 names in between all of that. Let me hear from you. Bizana is one of them. Skara, go for it. Every Skara has got to be, every Skara has to be a top footballer. You know that, right?
Yeah. What is Kalega good at while she has to talk and recommend more about the disbandment of these officers who are protecting the ordinaries? Why did she not attack the Triple BEE that is scavenging the country? Instead, she's going for those that are ordinaries, protecting the ordinaries, and that project is...
So is that what you think? Yeah. You think that? Oh, we've just lost the one and only Skara. Right. More about gambling.
Afternoon, Ashraf. It's Shata in Makhalong, in Polokwane. The issue of gambling, Mr. Ashraf, I think gambling, to us poor South Africans, it's a job. It's a job every day. You get 70 rand, sometimes you get 320 rand. It's a job, People are surviving with this gambling thing,
But listen, every industry is a job. I'm not suggesting, listen, if you're a detective, that's a job. A lawyer is a job. If you're a criminal, that's a job too. So I'm not suggesting it's right and wrong, but we're talking about the overall impact of the entire industry on society. That's really what it is. Like, for example, the hijackers.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. I hope that you are well. I know the Human Rights Commission and this other one will say, no, the police shouldn't have killed these thugs. Ashraf, it's better to lose one thug unconstitutionally or inhumanely than to lose innocent people by these ruthless thugs.
Okay, that's what you're saying. Listen, I don't think one must correct anybody when they say ruthless thugs, because what are hijackers and what are kidnappers, and what do you? Is there any palatable way you can soften what they do? I don't think so. Right, are you affected by those traffic flow patterns in Gauteng? I just want to know about that too.
Good day, Ashraf. Ashraf, is South Africans, we need to sit down and think properly. Most of the majority people, I think we need to go back to the ANC and rebuild the structures inside the ANC. I think that's what we need to do, because these small parties are just a waste of time. Dividing people, dividing the votes. At the end of the day, they've got nothing to provide to the people.
But interesting you say the small parties are a waste of time. The small parties haven't messed up service delivery in the country. Maybe you can do a quiz to say who has been responsible in overseeing service delivery in the country. Name the parties and tell us what they've done. And I wonder if you'll get the right answer.
Ashraf, unequivocally and without a scintilla of doubt, I wish those bank robbers and kidnappers were all of them. I wish they were all of them killed by the police. You see, we should develop the killing system. Shoot to kill one time, because our country is lawless because of these criminals, Ashraf. I know I'm sounding very, very harsh, but enough is enough, Ashraf, with these criminals. Thanks, it's Willie and Kuma.
Okay, Willie, you're saying hard times. It's harsh times, so we need to be harsh. Interesting one from Willie in Kuma, right? Okay, there's more on... Right, there's a whole range of comments about Becky Cele, by the way, and any comments about the Africa Mayabuye story, and what do you make of that, where a key member of the party has been effectively removed from their position because that person went to talk to the president of another party? I'm talking about the Mkhonto weSizwe party.
Hi, Ashraf. This is an interesting program. It is.
Bheki Cele seems to be answering those questions sincerely. However, someone did mention that they thought that he was telling convenient truths. But I just want to speak to the question that's been raised by a number of listeners as to what did he do when he was minister? Why is he not speaking now? People like myself that have not worked for the government, that have not been in the system, do not realize how brutal, how oppressive the system is, and the whole bureaucratic processes and what have you. It's much easier for them to speak when they are outside of the system and when they have nothing to lose, really. This is Sipho in Coxted.
Okay, thank you for that, Sipho. Sipho certainly, I'll tell you what, and listen, I probably say this once a week. Seriously, those are in charge, and there's been this big conversation about what's happened to the National Dialogue and when is it going to resurface from its original grand opening to setting up structures. It may take a while, I don't know. But I'm not the only one who said so. That, yes, if you want to get a mirror of what people think, those in charge will just do well to plug in to any of the shows here on SAFM.
Ashraf has been to Titi in Devon. Ashraf, I think Bheki Cele, he doesn't have shame. He admitted that he met this guy in December. In January, he stays in his a penthouse. Bheki Cele mustn't come here and want to play as if he's clean. And Bheki Cele, if he has an issue with Mchunu, they must go sort it out in their own province or in their own branches or whatever case may be. He mustn't come here and lie. And what is it that Khumalo owes, on Cele, that Cele can protect Khumalo with his own life? Let's ask ourselves that question.
Okay. And that question may be asked and further asked down the line too.
Hi, Ashraf and SAFM listeners. Godfrey here, man. Now I just want to reflect on former Minister Bheki Cele's testimony. I think the man, even the SC indicated that he's the only person who didn't bring his lawyers to the ad hoc committee. I think his testimony was straight to the point and honest as possible as he could. Yeah, but I think for me, as a citizen of this country, I am really, really worried. Our police system is really, really letting us down. We are not safe. We are just now saved by the grace of God. But if we don't do something, I'm telling you, something drastic is going to happen in our country. And I wish those in powers can come up with a plan. The security cluster, the security of South African people is at risk as we speak. Thanks, Ashraf. Bye.
Well, listen, maybe we're going to reflect on this period with the Commission and the ad hoc committee, and we may look at it as the game changer in South Africa. There's been many game changers, right? Like June 16th was a game changer. This could well be it, for the better.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. Good afternoon. Can you still really ask a question, Ashraf? People should tell you who was the best minister. There has never been a best minister of police from ANC. No one. And Bheki Cele is just there to sing whatever the songs he's singing. He was never best. All of them, they only talk when they are out. Like Bona Lady Pando, I heard here, Mama Tandi Mudise also. They are never, not one of them. Sorry, man. Maroon,
why are you saying sorry? Just say what you want to say and you've said it, right? Well, I'm talking about police specifically as opposed to, ministers of other ministries, right? Here's another, and there's lots of thoughts coming. In fact, what I'll do is, let me do this. I'll play those sounds just now, but let me tell you, if you've been wondering, because we've been playing certainly in most cases, the live sound from feed about Becky Cele, right? And if you're wondering what's happening today with the Madlanga Commission, I've made the point like these double headers. How do you do it? So what we're going to do just after 5, we don't have a fireside chat today, but we will go through some of the key moments, soundbite form, of what happened today at the Madlanga Commission. And I can tell you now, you do not want to miss it. This is the National Pulse.
This season, make Christmas magic together with Spar and Super Savings. Like 750-gram Nola mayonnaise for $36.99 plus 100 megs free data on Spar Mobile, or 400-gram Black Cat peanut butter, also $36.99 plus 100 megs free data on Spar Mobile. Prices valid 21 October to 9 November 2025. While stocks last, T's and C's apply.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. Easy to apply, no medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS SAFM to 48031. That's 48031. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
The South African Council for Educators, SACE, wishes all esteemed teachers, practitioners and lecturers a happy World Teachers Month. Thank you for shaping South Africa's future with passion and purpose. At Proudly SACE.
You are listening to the National Pulse with Ashraf Garda.
So our technical controller Phineas has been asking me whether I'm going to the Mandela lecture tomorrow. And the answer is yes. Francesca Albanese. So of course, you know, I wonder what you make of her so far. I mean, one thing you've seen her from a distance in terms of her job as the UN rapporteur on the Palestinian territories. The other is now she's been in South Africa and she will be till next week. In fact, going to Cape Town as well too, I know that. What do you make of her? Remember, she was a guest of KG's guest 2 days ago. You can listen to that podcast on SAFM. Just check it out. Go to the website. She was also on Morning Live today, but on various other platforms. Any thoughts that you've picked up in terms of what she said? The right or wrong, many people say the conviction is spot on, but do you find her argument is right in terms of the putting her case forward in terms of what she believes? But today she spoke, or yesterday was it? She spoke about the impact of a genocide on colonialism, but also an economy. How the economic factors play a huge role. That was yesterday. I absolutely want to listen to that conversation.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. It's William Jule of Richards Bay, Metraka. Ashraf, I'm so disturbed by the fact that at this day and age, you have someone saying that we need ANC, these smaller parties that at this time, the country is in such a mess because of this ANC. And then you get someone blaming these smaller parties. These smaller parties are the reason of the mess that is done by ANC. So now, for someone to talk about ANC, we need a research into our minds as South Africans. I thank you.
Well, listen, I'm not saying support or don't support the ANC, but I do agree with your point to say it's so interesting that you would be willing to give the ANC a chance and not be willing to give other parties a chance when those other parties have never actually governed. They've never truly governed.
Afternoon, Ashraf. Nice show as usual. You know, let me echo my sense of thinking in terms of, who's been the best minister of police thus far. My answer is none, simply because most of them, they have never taken time to understand what policing is all about. And most of them, they haven't grown up in certain ranks of the policing in South Africa. So political deployment by ANC, it's quite a flop in such an extent that it doesn't equip somebody in advance that we are about to hold certain position. So we just parachute to that position. Obviously, you are bound to make mistakes. and then while the country is expecting the best from you. Thanks, Langa and Maritzburg.
Thank you for that. Langa saying it as Langa himself sees it. By the way, are you actually going to the Nelson Mandela lecture being delivered by Francesca Albanese? I'm certainly going. Are you going as well? I'd love to know what your expectations are. Oh, let's do that.
Good day, Ashraf. This is Jethro in Bloemfontein. I think the issue of Maibuya party is not surprising. These politicians have tasted a good life, and that good life was made possible by politics. And it was also made possible by politics because you are holding a high position in politics. So this is just the beginning. More are to come. There's no way Floyd will let anyone to put his party at risk and to put his personal status and possible good life at risk. Jethro in Bloom, thank you.
Who was that? Was it Smuts Ngonyama who said, and you better get me quoting it correctly, what did he say? I didn't join the struggle to struggle, something like that. Just comes to my mind. I mean, help me with the right quote, because I'd love to know what your thoughts are on that.
Hi, Ashraf. I personally saw Minister Bheki Cele visit the house of a convicted drug dealer. But then he'll say maybe he didn't know about the guy. It's the second or third criminal that he's cavorted with. So I'm not sure if he's as clean as he purports to be. He seems to be coming out smelling like a rose.
But why would you think he's coming out smelling like rose? That's just your opinion. Not everybody believes just that.
Ashraf, good afternoon. This is Concrete Epizana Erdout Emampondwe. Point number one, I'm very happy the way Mr. Cele responded when it comes to the apology of Tlatla Mkhwanazi. However, when it comes to Ket Matlala, I'm not convinced. Thank you, my buddy. Bye.
You're not convinced, right? And here's an interesting one, picking up a conversation we had about Africa Maibuya.
Afternoon, Ashraf and your team. Ashraf, your analyst must just say there is no democracy across political parties. He must not say in MK and EFF there is no democracy. When you ask him that, does that mean there is democracy in other political parties? He say no. He's confusing us. There is no democracy across political parties. You want to tell me that is the DA when we installed Mmusi Maimane, it was the majority of the DA who want Maimane? No, he was appointed by few people. When he was removed by few people. There is no democracy, even Ramaphosa, by votes. So there is no democracy across political parties. Thanks, Asha.
So there's nothing? Zero? I mean, I may agree with your point that there's some flaws, but are we truly suggesting that there's nothing whatsoever? Drino Singh, General Cele is very convincing in his testimony, and his charisma won the hearts of the audience. But by being convincing does not mean that you are telling the truth. What bothers me is how can he reason that he never knew that Matlala was a criminal without keeping in mind that Matlala definitely knew who Bheki Cele was. How can he say there was not interfering in police operations while his explanation for having dinner with a known criminal was purely for the sake of intelligence gathering? It's crime intelligence gathering, not a function of the police. Nevertheless, I'm willing to give General Cele the benefit of the doubt, and I hope he's one of the good guys. Okay, there we are. Here's that one. In fact, there's the comment about Smuts Ngonyama. In fact, I'll read it after the news at 5.
Suspected kidnappers killed in Joburg shootout, and Zelensky in London for talks. Good day to you. 3 suspected kidnappers who are also linked to cash-in-transit robberies have been shot dead in a shootout with police in Parktown in Johannesburg. Traffic has been severely impacted and had to be diverted. Police crime scene experts and paramedics are at the scene. The Deputy Gauteng Police Commissioner, Fred Kekana, says police were following the suspect's vehicle, which refused to stop and started firing shots at police. Police returned fire and shot dead all 3 occupants travelling in the suspected stolen car.
They were following up on a wanted suspect specialized in kidnappings and cash in transitized. Just at Smith Street before they drive into town, they noticed this suspicious vehicle, and that matched the description of the suspects, which they've been trying to follow up. And they tried to stop it, and the occupants, rather than stopping, and unfortunately, they shot at police, and the police had to defend themselves and the team that was there. And 3 of them, as you can see, those guys, they are lying there, and one of them, it's linked to a cash in transitized that happened on the 6th of April 2003 in Sebokeng.
The Matlanga Commission in Pretoria has heard how alleged criminal cartel member Vusikat Matlala was persuaded by the Police Minister Senzo Mchunu and the Deputy Police Commissioner for Crime Detection Shadrack Sibiya to open a case over his missing Rolex watch. Witness C testified that Matlala admitted in a recording that his watch was never stolen to begin with. The witness was testifying in partial camera.
And with his own mouth, he had indicated that he was persuaded by our General Sibiya and the Minister, Mr. Senzo Mchunu, that he register a case against the team that raided his house on the 6th of December 2024.
The former Police Minister Beckett Cele has described policing in the country as disastrous. He's appearing before Parliament's ad hoc committee probing allegations of criminal infiltration and political interference in the justice system. He was the police minister between 2018 and 2024.
It's something very, very serious. Not only that, and sad. I don't know how much pain I share as I sit there and I look, Commissioner writing affidavit against the Deputy National Commissioner, Nkwanase coming on the platform, lambasting everybody. Immediately after that, Sibiya coming, the police are in his house. It's just, I don't think if it were a move, I would finish it.
Parliament's Select Committee on Security and Justice has heard how Lesotho nationals visit South Africa to access social grants and health services. Some reportedly cross the border illegally. The committee also heard that some security personnel along the border work with criminal elements. Acting Committee Chairperson Mwela Nokonyana.
The question of porous borders, where we are, it is scary because we found that many foreign nationals, they come through the borders and they then actually assess services that must be assessed by South Africans. And again, as if that is not enough, they also now involved in subcontracting. We hear for the first time that they are dual citizenship.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is in London meeting the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The BBC's James Waterhouse has more.
The Prime Minister is expected to discuss supplying Kyiv with long-range missiles, as well as attempts to remove Russian oil and gas from global markets. The European Union has agreed to fund gaps in Ukraine's budget over the next 2 years. President Zelensky and his allies are hoping to encourage Donald Trump, who isn't involved today, to go further than the sanctions on Russian oil firms he announced earlier this week, in his first concrete action against Moscow. Their second, more obvious aim is to force Vladimir Putin to the negotiating table. But Russia's leader says he won't bow to pressure from the US.
Top story, 3 suspected kidnappers who are also linked to cash-in-transit robberies have been shot dead in a shootout with police in Johannesburg. That's SAFM News, I'm Greg Gos.
In sports this hour, Banyana welcomed the return of Sasol's sponsorship. Curry and Green react to basketball's betting scandal. More details at 5:30.
And this traffic report is brought to you by Auto & General Business Insurance. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online. In fact, we will reconnect with just some parts of things just now. But I want to tell you, I did say this early on, that we're going to get up to date with issues at the Matlanga Commission, which we will do right after this.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, Greyston Drive in Sandton, queuing at the M1 highway. The N3 northbound in Bedford View, slow moving on the link to the N12 east at Giluli's interchange, and the N1 northbound in Pretoria, queuing towards Garsfontein Road. In KZN, the N3 eastbound, slow moving at Marion Hill Toll Plaza, the N2 northbound, queuing through the construction area north of Spaghetti Junction, and the M7 is queuing at the N2 highway. In Cape Town, the N1 outbound is slow moving through Brackenfell, Coburg Road northbound in Tableview, slow moving at Blauberg Road, and the M5 southbound slow moving towards Racecourse Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
Right, and a reminder, this traffic report was brought to you by Auto & General Business Insurance. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSB. TSCs online.
At Auto & General, we understand your business is built on more than just vehicles. It's your stock, tools and equipment, and the premises where you work. Auto & General Business Insurance is designed for businesses like yours, protecting your assets against fire, theft, storms, and other unexpected events. To protect your livelihood, visit autogen.co.za and get an obligation-free business insurance quote. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
If you think you cannot afford a lawyer, think again. Clientele Legal has made professional legal services affordable. You receive up to 745,000 rand worth of legal services per year. Our range of plans include cover for you, your spouse, children, and extended family. Plans include cover for civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Whether it's protection orders, gender-based violence, uncontested divorce, or poor service, your Clientele Legal lawyer will be there to assist you. Our services are convenient. Simply pick up the phone and call your lawyer or send us an email and we'll get back to you. All plans include a bail benefit of up to 5,000 rand and we'll go to the police station and pay it for you. Plus, Clientele Legal offers you 24-hour telephonic legal advice. SMS SAFM to 32195. That's SAFM to 32195. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
This is Lungi on any other regular day.
This economy makes me post once a day. Who does that? Like, ew.
Now this is Lungi getting extra with the 20 gig summer deal for just 99 Rand.
I have so many gigs. I could even have a gig, guys. I'm going live every single day to me because get
Extra your summer. Get 20 gigs plus 2 months free YouTube Premium and 100 Vodabucks exclusively on the Vodapay app. T's and C's apply. Further together, Vodacom.
Abafana Bestend have made up their minds. They want their visitors to leave empty-handed. On the other side, the Rockets are counting on this crucial win. This is the Carling Knockout quarterfinal. Catch Golden Arrows FC versus TS Galaxy FC this Sunday, 26 October at 3 p.m. Live on Mungana Lonene FM. You can also listen on SABC Plus. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda on SAFM. You're listening to the National Pulse, weekdays 3 to 6 p.m.
So I did say, come on, help me out with the Smuts and Gonyama quote, and I said something like, I didn't join the struggle, but I see a few people have commented, and thanks for that. I didn't join the struggle to be poor. How was that quote? I didn't join the struggle to be poor. Right, so we don't have a fireside chat guest today as we normally do on a Friday, but we do have the Madlanga Commission. So let's focus on that for the next 20 minutes or so, right? Now, Witness C continued giving testimony at the Madlanga Commission. And as part of that, of course, it was established to investigate allegations by the KZN Police Commissioner, Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhonazi, and the allegations were around collusion, political interference and corruption. So big allegations they were, right? So we picked out some highlights from today. Firstly, Witness C told the Madlanga Commission that Vusi Ket Matlala denied any knowledge of Jerry Boshoga's kidnapping.
Mr. Matlala also indicated that he doesn't know the identity of the people who are suspected to be behind the kidnapping of Mr. Jeroen Shuga, but he indicated that Jeroen Shuga owed people money and he was in a drug business. He further informed us that he himself, Kurt Matlala, had lent Mr. Bushuka an amount of 5 million as he wanted to buy a machine for processing drugs.
Please proceed, witness C.
Thank you. He further informed us or identified business associates of Mr. Bushuka who is in the same drug business. And he indicated also that Mr. Bushuka, as his friend, has once informed him that he had a fallout with his drug associates.
Okay, there's more. Witness C then said that Vusi, the cat, Matlala, revealed to them that he's a recipient of an SAPS tender, which is worth, listen to this one, 1.2 billion rands. And then he name-dropped some senior SAPS officials in an attempt to, well, scare them off.
As we proceed with our interview with Mr. Matlala, he started now to tell us that he is a recipient of a SAPS health tender that is about 1.2 billion for 3 years.
You introduced this witness C by saying under main paragraph 45 that Mr. Matlala proceeded to make several startling disclosures. These are reflected below, and then 45.1. You then say what you've just said about the contract for 1.2 billion rand. Why do you say this was startling?
Thank you, commissioners. We never asked Mr. Matlala as to whether he had a tender with the SAPS or not. And as we go further, as you will see, he started name dropping of senior police officials. And while I'm saying startling, maybe I would also say that I am of an opinion that he said that and dropped the names of senior police officials in order maybe to intimidate us that he is connected to high-ranking officials of the SAPS.
Okay, let's move on to another story. Again, the cat then named his associates, amongst them the Deputy National Commissioner Shadrack Sibiya, General Firoz Khan, General Richard Shibiri, and he then said he was related to General Lesesha Sonona. But just hear it out.
He then told us that he had close connections with very senior police officials within the SAPS, and he named number one, the Deputy National Commissioner, General Sibiya, and he also gave his contact details. Second one, he named General Feroz Khan and also gave his contact details, and General Shibiri and also give his contact details. He further indicated that he is related to one General Sinona.
Thank you, Witness C. Apologies.
Just before I see it's almost 11 o'clock. Witness C, when you say contact details, do you mean their personal cellular phone numbers or their office contact details?
Thank you, Commissioners. I mean their contact cellular cell phone numbers.
Okay, let's move on. Witness C then, who worked in the, PKTT, we know the acronym, says Vusi Kat Matlala told them he was in constant communication with Senzo Mchunu, and then referenced a meeting.
And furthermore, on that day, he indicated that he was in constant communication with the police minister, Mr. Senzo Mchunu, and on the very same night, he was supposed to have a meeting with Mr. Mchunu. And also indicated that there is a person who is responsible for his meeting with Mr. Mchunu, as he is not the one who arranged for the meeting. So the meeting was going to be through a third party, Commissioners.
Did he say who this person was, or did you ask who the person was?
We asked who the person was, but he elected not to state who the person was at the time.
Witness C, this Sergeant Nkosi, did you verify the telephone number that you saw on Mr. Matlala's phone, that it was indeed Mr. Sergeant Nkosi's number?
Thank you, Commissioners. On his phone, we verified the cell phone number, and also he also showed us an ABSA account number that belonged to Sergeant Nkosi. Furthermore, a screenshot of whereby Sergeant Nkosi did an inquiry on the SAPS system, and on that screenshot, his personal number was reflected. Further than that, we also did profiling on who this Nkosi is. That is, then now we clearly got to know who Detective Sergeant F.E. Nkosi is.
There's more to come, but we'll do that in a moment. A reminder, and I know I've had these people saying, Ashraf, we don't hear you too much because we're hearing so much of the Commission. Yes, it's the nature of what we have to do now. As the National Pulse, we reflect the pulse of the nation, and that's what moves the pulse right now. But you will hear some other key points coming out of the Madlanga Commission after this.
After a 5-1 victory away from home, 2016 Continental Champions Masandawana want to triumph with an avalanche of goals on their home soil, while the Sky Blue Stars of Nigeria refuse to give up without a real fight. This is the second leg of the second preliminary round of the CAF Champions League. Catch the thrilling encounter, Mamelodi Sundowns FC versus Remo Stars FC, this Sunday, 26 October at 2:30 p.m. live on SABC Plus and SABC One. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
This October month, SAFM focuses on cybersecurity awareness. As we live more of our lives online, Staying safe in the digital world has never been more important. From spotting cyber threats to protecting your personal data, SAFM brings you the conversations that empower you to stay secure. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us. The National Pulse with Ashraf Garda. Weekdays, 3 to 6 p.m.
Right, we will play your calls. We'll play your voice notes. We'll take your calls as well as soon as we can. But here's, keep the voice notes coming, right? Keep the calls coming. We stay once again with witness C, who then details how investigators interviewed Phumulo Molobi, a relative of Lucky Molefe, who claimed, listen to this one, he hadn't seen the wanted man, but heard he was driving a certain car.
Yes, upon arrival at Natalspruit, the combat members entered and they ensured that it was safe for the detection to move into the property. At the property, we had found the aunt to Lebohang Molefe and other members of the family. Amongst the members of the family was one male who became known to me as Phumulo Molobi. And on that day, on the 17th of December, it was raining heavily so, and due to the fact that there was not enough space and or room in that house, we had to go to Natalspruit SAPS with Mr. Phumulo Molobi. Where upon arrival at the police station, we requested an office and we were afforded an office and a space to can interview Phumulo Molobi. As we interviewed Phumulo, he indicated that he hasn't seen Lucky Molefe for a while, but he learned from his friends that Lucky Molefe was seen driving around Credit section in Natalspruit in a white A4. So after the interview with Phumulo, he was then taken back home, where he was left with his family, and then Lebohang then indicated that there is a character by the name of Fundiswa Nyangule, who is a partner of Katiso Molefe. And this Fundiswa will know where Lucky Molefe is.
Right, and then the witness C then spoke about, Katie Molefe telling them, in fact, they will not be able to find his nephew.
It's correct. We are still in search and looking for Mr. Lucky Molefe. And we also have published on the 10th of June 2025 a media statement that indeed we are still searching for the Lucky Molefe. And I would want to make it known also to the Commission that during one of the appearances of Katiso Molefe while she was still applying for the bail, that was refused. He uttered words like, on his second appearance at court, when we were transporting him back to the prison, he uttered the words saying, as long as I am incarcerated, you will never find my nephew. And I really believe him that he is capable of doing that, as we're still looking for him today.
Okay, let's pause on that. It means there's time now for me to tell you to get started with your reaction. So talk about that. Talk about the Madlanga Commission. You can go back to the issue of Becky Cele and other things, the kidnapping story or the hijackers that botched up and then apparently were killed in Parktown, Joburg, the huge traffic disruptions in the Gauteng region, including Joburg and Tshwane, I think, and Ekurhuleni too, all those regions, because of the dry run, really, for the G20 coming up now. Just about a month, slightly less, in fact, till we get there. That's just some of the issues. Will you be attending the Nelson Mandela lecture being delivered this time by Francesca Albanese? I certainly will. What are your thoughts about that? What are your expectations? All of that are issues that I will take, and more, if you like. You are, indeed, connected to the National Pulse.
Amidst misinformation and disinformation, where can we find reliable news? Turn to radio, your trusted source for truthful updates. For over 3 decades, we've upheld integrity as a signatory to the BCCSA Broadcasting Code of Conduct. Count on us for news you can trust. Say no to fake news. Radio, keeping it real since day one. A message from the National Association of Broadcasters. Tune in, trust, and stay informed.
Okay, just to, in fact, before I get to that, this is important too. Extraordinary doesn't just happen. It's built brick by digital brick. Vodacom Business is helping shape South Africa's businesses from scalable cloud and AI that powers smarter decisions to, IoT, Internet of Things, and connectivity that bridges every gap, backed by security you can trust. Together with business and government, Vodacom Business is building stronger industries and thriving communities, a nation ready to lead. So get to the website, vodacombusiness.coza. Together, let's build the extraordinary. Vodacom Business, further together.
You're listening to the National Pulse.
Right, in fact, there's just to confirm, that last clip referred to Lucky Molefe, right? Who, just by the way, Transnet has issued a statement saying that they've noted evidence presented at the Madlanga Commission in relation to alleged tender fraud. Working closely with SAPS in support of their criminal investigation, Transnet conducted an in-depth investigation into the transactions involving the SK Group. Following internal investigations, the employment contract of the implicated employee was terminated in 2024. Transnet is committed to rooting out corruption and to protect whistleblowers who uncover wrongdoing. Their courage is the essential vanguard in our fight to clean governance and accountability. We are readily available to assist law enforcement agencies with information required by any investigation emanating from corrupt activities. Okay, there we are. Right, we'll get to you just after we get to the news, sport, and the markets. It's 5:30. Sports Heads. Here's Greg.
Thank you, Ashraf. In the headlines, the former police minister Becky Cele has criticised the criminal justice system, saying it is sympathetic to criminals rather than the victims. 3 suspected kidnappers who are linked to cash-in transit robberies have been shot dead in a shootout with police in Johannesburg. And the UN Secretary-General has marked UN Day today, which is the 80th anniversary of the founding of the UN Charter in 1945. A full update at 6 o'clock.
SAFM, guiding you through the rush hour traffic.
Good afternoon. Starting off in Gauteng, the N1 southbound in Midrand has a crash before New Road. The M1 southbound, a crash at Crown Interchange, and on the M1 northbound, queuing traffic towards Crown Interchange. In KZN, the N3 westbound in Pietermaritzburg, queuing towards Market Road, the N3 eastbound, a stationary truck before Ashburton, and on the N3 westbound, a crash near the M13 Paradise Valley Interchange. In Cape Town, the R300 southbound is slow moving towards the N2 highway exit. The M7 Jakes Hadwell Drive southbound slow moving towards the R300 junction, and Baden-Powell Drive in Khayelitsha has a crash between the N2 highway and Jafta K Masimola Road. With your traffic update, I'm Irma G.
This is SAFM Sports with Doming Kapele.
Look, here's an interesting story because Sasol were part of Banyana, then I think for a short while not so. But they're synonymous with their success, and I believe it's back to the fuel.
It is back to the fuel, and Banyana have welcomed the return of Sasol as their sponsor after extending their sponsorship deal with SAFA for an extra 4 years. Now, the sponsorship announcement comes at a time when Banyana are fighting for a spot in the 2026 CAF Women's Africa Cup of Nations, and Sasol has been behind women's football for the longest time, around 16 years, and we continue to keep on counting. Big ups to them for believing in women's football in the country, and also not only the senior national team, but also the grassroots and development of women's football in the country, which is absolutely applaudable. And I'm really grateful that Sasol and SAFA have now somehow met, and they have found a common ground in terms of the conditions, or perhaps what they wanted in terms of how they want the sponsorship to go from Sasol's
I'm delighted
side.
about that. But, just to pick up on your believing in them, and I'll turn that story on its head. It's great that they believe in them. But very importantly, from a marketing point in terms of the business plan of Sasol, they would say, hold it, this market delivers for us. So outside of Sasol believing in women's football, they also see a market in terms of them connected to women's football that actually raises their profile, as they did with the South African under-23 team all those years ago.
Why is it hard for other brands to see the same thing?
Well, maybe that's their brand managers who got it wrong. But at the moment, Sasol is not even concerned about other brands because they are ahead of the queue and they see good value for them. And I completely concur because they've been synonymous with that and the under-23 Blue Looks for years.
Absolutely.
So you can't think beyond them. They own that space. Good luck to them.
They really do. Well, meanwhile, still staying with football, Orlando Pirates have a tough task this weekend as they try to overturn a 3-0 first leg loss to DRC's Lupopo in the CAF Champions League. No South African team has ever come back from such a deficit in African football, and kickoff is at 3 p.m. tomorrow at Orlando Stadium, with the winner advancing to the group stage next month. Here's Orlando Pirates coach Abdeslam Wadu.
I have seen a great character of my players, of my team, trying to score goals, going forward, not just protecting this goal. We have seen that during all the game we tried to score more goals. Unfortunately, we didn't have this efficiency in the box. But let's say I hope they kept these 5 goals they didn't score for this Saturday.
Meanwhile, Barcelona will be without star forward Rafinha as they go into top of the table clash with Real Madrid on Sunday. The Brazilian has been suffering from a hamstring injury for the last month, but will not be fit in time for the game. In netball, South Africa goes into the 2025 special general meeting under a cloud of uncertainty and controversy surrounding suspended President Cecilia Molokwane. World Netball has instructed Molokwane to remain barred from all netball activities while it investigates allegations of professional misconduct and mismanagement of NSA funds. Now, despite that directive, she has confirmed her intention to attend the SGM and throughout the weekend, defying the world governing body's suspension order. The 2-day meeting, which will include NSA's executive elections, which is set to start from tomorrow and Sunday at the OR Tambo Garden Court in Johannesburg, beginning the council sessions at 10 a.m. And SASCOC leadership, led by President Barry Hendricks has been invited as observers as part of the efforts to ensure transparency in the process. In the meantime, in terms of cricket, Proteas women final pool match of the Women's World Cup against Australia tomorrow will be one to see who finishes top of the log after the league phase, while both teams have already qualified for the last four, as have England and India. It's not yet known who will face who in the semi-finals. Right now, Australia top the log with 11 points, while South Africa have 10. England have 9 points and face New Zealand on Sunday, and in India 6, and they face Bangladesh on Sunday. In terms of rugby, the Bulls are appealing a massive 9-match ban for forward Jan Hendricks Wessels. The sanction follows a URC disciplinary hearing on Wednesday, and this means that Wessels will not play any rugby for the rest of the calendar year. Now, Connacht flanked Josh Murphy, accused Wessels of grabbing him in the crotch, but the refereeing team on the day could not find clear evidence of foul play. Then in terms of basketball, Steph Curry and Draymond Green have reacted to the story that has rocked the States. An NBA player and coach are among dozens arrested as part of an FBI investigation into illegal sports betting and alleged rigged mafia-linked poker games.
I woke up to that news. I got here and they're like, man, you see everything that happened? I'm like, not quite. I only knew about Terry.
I think on the whole, we all are very responsible. The integrity of the game is fine. Everybody is very mindful of, what to do, what not to do, and understanding the landscape of, sports right now in general, and that's not just an NBA thing.
It's a tough moment for the individuals involved. It's a tough moment for the league, but I'm not going to sit here and be like, man, y'all partner with a gambling company. You open a can of worms. Partner with gambling companies ain't make gambling more accessible to us.
So Curry saying that he's not worried at NBA's integrity. This is despite the investigation, and Green just saying that betting is easily accessible. Just to round up things, let's look at predictions. My predictions for this weekend. Well, it's a tough one, but I think Proteas versus Australia. I think Australia are going to win that one. I just have a feeling. In terms of the El Clasico, I think it's going to be a draw. Pirates and DRC's Lupopo. I think Pirates can win. I just don't think they will win with over 3 goals. I'm not sure about that one. Mexican Grand Prix, Oscar Piastri and Glasgow Warriors versus Bulls tonight. I think the Bulls can actually win this one.
Okay, got that. Why don't you ask me why I'm dressed like how I'm dressed?
Yeah, I actually wanted to ask, are you very sporty today?
Yes.
You look like someone that is actually either going to gym, going for a run, going to play paddle.
Well, I'm not going to go to the Cape Town Marathon because that didn't take place, so
Nope.
That's just too risky. I am going to play paddle, and I don't know if you know, besides, paddle is a game of pairs, 2 versus 2, right? But there's also been this concept of so when you think of doubles paddle, you think of doubles tennis, as we all understand it. But there's been a concept of team paddle, and maybe it's closer to the Ryder Cup if you think of golf. And you represent a team, which has never been that big in golf. In tennis, there's been some examples, but not in this level. So I'm part of a team that we now own, but it's not big money, 10,000, 13,000 rand to buy the team out.
Okay.
And we call ourselves the GOATs, as in the GOATs, the greatest of all time. Yeah. But listen, we're starting from scratch, and we're playing tonight at the Zoo Lake, a whole lot of us, yeah.
Well, all the best.
Yeah, so I predict.
I was going to say, let me predict.
My prediction is that we will have great fun for what is called the Team Paddle business class event.
I think the GOATs are going to win. I think the GOATs are going to win.
Well, there's 6 teams playing, so yeah.
Well, that's it. Ke nna tumeng kgapele, Modimo ke yo.
This October month, SAFM shines a light on mental health awareness. This month, we bring you conversations that break the stigma, encourage care, and provide strategies to protect your mental well-being. Because it's okay not to be okay. And together, we can build a healthier tomorrow. SAFM, leading the conversations that move us.
Economic news on SAFM. Facts and figures you can count on.
And let's get those facts and figures from Jimmy Moya. Last communication for the week as we get to the weekend, Jimmy.
Good
afternoon, Ashraf. Good afternoon to the listeners. It seems as though it was a slightly negative day for our local equities. Markets still seemingly digesting some of the data that's been coming out. The U.S. gave us their inflation print, softer than expected. We also did receive some ongoing confirmations around those tensions between the United States and Russia that have affected the oil price. The United States has renewed their sanctions against Russian oil, and that's driven up the oil price up to $66.50 a barrel. If we look at other commodities, while we are, the gold price, $4,127 a fine ounce. Platinum's back above the 1,600, and palladium is just shy of 1,500 at 1,495. Equity markets in international waters were in the green, with the exception of the CAC 40 in France and the ASX in Sydney. The Nikkei in Tokyo was the biggest winner in Asian markets, up 1.3%. The Nasdaq's currently up about 1.1%, and the S&P up about 0.9%. Local markets, as I said, didn't have the best day. The top 40 down 0.25%. The all share down a little over 0.25%. The resources counters down 0.6%. The industrials up about 0.16%, but financials down about 0.33%. The rand clawing back a lot against all of the major currencies, and this might have a little something to do with the fact that we have officially been removed off of the grey list, so we can ignore the slight bearishness on our equity markets, because the bigger news of the day, of course, is that we are no longer a grey-listed country in the eyes of the Financial Action Task Force. As a result of that, the rand is back at 17 Rand 24 against the dollar, at 22 Rand 93 against British pound, so back below 23 Rand there, and a little over 20 Rand against the euro at 20 Rand and 5 cents. One Australian dollar, 11 Rand and 23 cents. One Bitcoin around $110,000 a Bitcoin. Going into next week, there's an interest rate decision out of the United States following today's inflation print. We're going to look to see what the United States does there. Consensus is that we'll get a rate cut there. But going into Monday specifically, I'll be following up on the grey listing conversation. I'll be looking at what it means for South Africa now that we've come off the grey list. February of 2026 would have officially marked 3 years on that grey list. So thankfully we've come off sooner rather than later. We're going to look at that next week in greater detail, but for now we take the win of the announcement going into the weekend. We take a stronger rand going into the weekend, and a gold price that is seemingly still on the upward trajectory. Back to you, Ashraf.
Okay, perfect. You have a great weekend. Shall we connect on Monday? I'm sure we will. Thank you.
Ashraf Garda on SAFM.
Okay, here's some other news of significance. The Financial Action Task Force, that's the FATF, has removed South Africa from the grey list. The National Treasury Technical Advisor is Ismail Mamoniat, and he said there's a need to stop all forms of corruption and abuse of the country's financial system, because, as you know, that has an impact on the grey list in terms of, countries that that others then are told not to do business with because of what I just mentioned. So here's Ismail Mamoniat.
Yes, look, that's old news. That's what we did at the June plenary, and then we only had an on-site lab, which was done at the end of July. And now I've just come out of the meetings with the FATF. I'm out here in Paris where the meetings have been held, and FATF has just made the announcement that they have decided to delist us from the grey list. So we have real cause to celebrate. I think this is a tremendous confidence in our ability to deal with anti-money laundering and terror financing, and we're now off the grey list.
Absolutely great news and welcome news there, Ishmael. But are you satisfied that all the necessary policies in order to safeguard the country against such practice in the future are foolproof? If we track back, we found ourselves on this list as a result of not doing enough to stop money laundering as well as terror financing. What can you specifically point the nation towards as having been the key driving and effective measures that have been implemented by Treasury to ensure that we never get to find ourselves on this list? What reforms basically and counter or detection measures has been implemented in order to guard against practices, especially taking into account, Mr. Mamoniat, that we are currently hearing shocking revelations of crime syndicates operating within police and even judiciary?
No, absolutely. Look, our policy framework is amongst the best in the world. Our problem is implementation. Our problem is what Fatah calls, we did very badly in effectiveness, the poor ability to implement our laws, to get enforcement done, to supervise properly against money laundering. That is a challenge. And yes, getting off the grey list just means that Fatah believes that we don't need to be monitored to begin to do the right things, and to do the right things for us as a country, not for Fatah. And what this means is that we've started to do the right things. We still have a long way to go. As you see from the events at Madlanga and even every day, if you look at corruption around Tembisa Hospital and so on, we still have to get to the criminals. We still have to get them prosecuted. We still have to get them convicted. We still have to make sure that we've stopped all forms of corruption and abuse of our financial system. So the challenges are still there. In fact, the worst lesson to learn from our exit of the grey list is that we've solved our problems. Not at all. We've just started to solve our problems, and we do need to do far more.
So that's the National Treasury's Technical Advisor Ismail Mamonia speaking to the SABC News earlier today. Quite significant, don't you think? And I'd like to get your response on that. In fact, talking about responses, okay, time for me to pick up your voice notes, your calls. You can call in live. You can send us voice clips, 30 seconds each. You can send us some text messages as well. And people have done that. Let me just pick up... here's another one, Ashraf. Thank you for opening the final hour for what really moves the pulse. Well, Tim, I mean, we're doing it now. Can't always do it. And here's another one. I did not join the struggle to be poor. Smarts and Gonyama, thank you for that update. Much appreciated. Excuse me. I have a name for that. Others, I'd mention your name on air. If you were not anonymous, I'd certainly do that. Here's an interesting one. When are you going to read our text? There are people whose texts are read every day, but mine does not. Do we need to come to the SABC so we deliver our text? Well, there you are. You see now I've read your text. I have read it. Okay. I need to pick out voice comments, and there are many.
So, Ms. Tige, I always listen to SAFM. So, I've been finding that coverage of the Madlanga Commission quite interesting. Everybody seems to be so shocked, including the listeners, as well as the presenters, how much Begitele seems to be throwing everybody under the bus. What did they expect? Undosi will save himself. He's the one who shouted at his cops in front of the cameras. My boy, sir, what did they expect? Sharp.
What did they expect? Well, it's a good question. What did they expect?
Good afternoon, Ashraf, and the staff there, and the listeners. Rose from KZN Mutu. Ashraf, I'm out of words. I don't have any comments listening to the Madlanga Commission just now, this snippet that you played. All I want to do is say thank you to Mkwanazi. We would have never known. I'm just in shock every day. It's just more bombs and more bombs. I don't know. Thanks.
Well, I mean, you do want the bombs. You're shocked at the bombs or about it, but you do want them, don't you think so? I think you do, because now we can hopefully move on, right? Otherwise, what? Here's one that I think we need to hear.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. This is Peter from Bloemfontein. Ashraf, you know what, man? These guys that are deployed by the ANC, some are very brilliant. You could hear Cele when he articulates how the police structure and functionality and operations is supposed to be. These guys are intelligent, some of them. But the problem is corruption. The likes of Maluri Sikukaba, those guys are very intelligent, but they allow themselves to be corrupted. That is the main problem. But ANC never said they must go and steal, because ANC's got good policies.
Okay, well, many may concur that they've got good policies. Why are they then so poor at implementing it, if that were the case?
Hi, good afternoon, Ashraf. Johnson here in Bombela. Look, there are 4 surnames that are problematic right now in this country that are a thorn in the flesh. Mkhunu, Sibia, Mohotsi, and Matlala. These triple MS. These surnames are a thorn in the flesh. I don't want to be associated with all these surnames. They've become a problem in a country that is infested with too many problems already.
If talking about your surname story, so if you have a surname of one of them, even if you're not, well, you could be 2 things. You could have a surname like them, and you could be related to them. Or you could have a surname like them and be unrelated to them. Either way, do you find that people make a connection? So like if your surname is Matlala, do you find that the moment you mention the name in some gathering that somehow then, because I often do that, I do make connections. So, so if someone says like Matlala was like Baby Jake, that type of thing normally, right? So do you find that happens to you, and how do you feel about it? I mean, there's no way if your surname is Ramaphosa, for example, and you tell people you're a Ramaphosa, they're never going to say, family of the president. It's going to happen. So I wonder, I'd love to know. Be lighthearted about it. Does it happen to you?
Hi, Ashraf. I'm not sure what you mean by saying that none of the other smaller parties have ever truly governed. The DA have governed in the Western Cape for a substantial length of time, and they govern many, many local municipalities. And certainly where they govern, they do a far, far better job than the ANC does. So, yeah, of the other parties, the DA certainly has governed, and they don't govern too badly, relatively speaking. So, yeah, maybe that's a bit of food for thought. It's Brian in East London. Thanks, Ashraf.
The way that I can describe him is like a grandfather telling a story to his grandchildren, making everyone to believe that he's an innocent man. So why did he keep quiet about everything by the time he was a minister? Why now? Why is only raising these issues that are still there in the police industry? Why didn't he bring them up during the time that he was a minister? So I'm not going to be hypnotized by him, Bheki Cele, into telling all these stories. He's not innocent either. So I just wanted to highlight that.
Well, I mean, that's precisely the point, isn't it? That you can't just make an assumption even now, just like everybody's perfect or not perfect based upon a few things you've said. Here's one I touched on.
No. Ashraf, this person is talking something else. We are also Matlalas. Some of us, we are Matlalas, but we don't know the guy. You can't say he doesn't want to associate himself with this, the Matlala and whatever. There are good Matlalas out there, or the good Mtunus or Svias, whatever. It's only those ones that are mentioned there.
Well, listen, I mean, that is the obvious thing. Okay, that person said what he said. Therefore, my comment about how do you feel about it if you have that surname, because there's an obvious association with somebody in the public domain.
Good morning, Ashraf. Oh, good afternoon. Sorry, day has just passed by. Ashraf, I'm just wondering, this political killing is only focusing at KZN as well as Gauteng. What about Mpumalanga? You know, in my province, we had a lot of political killings, but nobody is saying anything about it. Hey, my daughter, Makonga at Bielani village.
Well, maybe that may come up. I mean, for the specific purpose, it's as narrow as has been discussed. But sometimes what happens at one hearing or investigation then leads on to something else. So that could well be the case sometime soon.
Good afternoon, Mr. A. Mr. A, I would like to say we are blessed in South Africa. I've never seen anywhere in the world, not even in the Western countries, that things that are being said in South Africa publicly from the police, all the revelations that are being said there, I've never seen it anywhere, including America or UK for that matter. I can't even talk about Africa. It's the most democracy. South Africa is number one. Has no comparison in the whole world. Pastor Cape Town.
Pastor Cape Town, yeah, nothing like it in the world. Let's get back to Smuts, which naturally, if your name is Smuts, they may say, are you related to Jan Smuts? But then your name is Smuts Ngonyama.
Ashraf, what Smuts Ngonyama, the former minister of the ANC, said? He said, we did not join ANC to become poor. That was a statement that he made. Wonder Boy from Kwanongoma, KZN.
Thank you. I think he said, I don't think he said ANC. I mean, playing with words, I think he said we didn't join the struggle to be poor. He used the word specifically struggle. But whether it's a struggle to the ANC, I mean, in essence, it means the same thing.
Good afternoon, Ashraf. I think the only perfect thank you to Mkonazi is for all South Africans to directly vote him into presidency of this country. There is no other way. This man, because Zuma was shining outside, if you say state is captured, if you say state is captured, the judiciary is not captured. Look at what is happening.
Okay. Lots are captured. Here's another.
Hi, Ashraf. General Senona is the head of Hawks KZN. Just to remind you, I see he's pretty much not in the news lately, but just squeaky clean August body like the Hawks is now tainted.
And here's, well, there's a few more. In fact, I can't play. So if you want to squeeze a couple in right now, just send us a quick one, particularly about the names, because I'm asking that question about just, you having the names of other people. What do you make of that?
How's it, my brother Ashraf? It's a guy here, Babaska in Durban. Ashraf, listen carefully to whatever former Minister Bekitsele is saying. He's not even limiting words, my man. He's saying everything as it is, because he knows he's no longer a minister. He's just like an ordinary person. And I said what I'm saying. That's why you see he's relaxed. He's throwing some jokes, making people laugh, but telling the truth. And he knows whatever he's saying, people they're gonna do some follow-ups because he's opening some pipes we don't even know, my man. Hey, what a former minister, what a guy.
What a guy. Okay, former minister is key, right?
Evening, Ashraf. Yes, it's Papi in Cape Town. My brother Ashraf, yesterday I was listening to the witness B in Madlanga Commission. After to hear her statement, Ashraf, yesterday I cried. Ashraf, I'm telling you, we still having it. People who need to save this country. People who want the safety of this country. Ashraf, I'm telling you, yesterday I cried, Ashraf, after listening the witness B testimony. Really, God must help us. Ashraf, Bekitsele, when you hear the confidence for Bekitsele and Minister Senzo Mchunu, you can see who is fitting the place. Let's just forget about who's clean, who's not clean, but actually Minister Tsele understand more the role of Minister of Police than Senzo Mchunu. I thank you.
Okay, and perhaps we got maybe time for two more quickly.
Hi, Ashraf. Roskin Pologwan. These people who always say we must vote DA because they've governed. And then where they're governing far better. Fine, they're governing far better. But then you can't say let's give DA because they governed. Remember, at some point they were not governing. Somebody gave them a chance. The voters gave them a chance in this country. So we can still give another party a chance like we're doing in Tswane. We gave EFF and Action SA. They are governing. So somebody has to be given a chance first to prove themselves. So we can't write people off before they were given a chance. Thank you.
Okay, point taken. Here's the last one I'm going to play.
Hi, Ashraf and SAFM. This is Kaiser.
Ashraf, I think most of us are concerned about why are people talking only after they have left. But the reality is the issues that they are raising, most of them, like Mkwanaze said, they have been raising them internally, but they received no reception. So that is why now they found a platform where they can be reception, and that's why we will feel like they have not been raising them before. But in actual fact, they have been raising them, and we appreciate it now that there is a platform for them.
Okay, who's raising it? Well, look, my time's up. Yours is up as well for the week in terms of this show, The National Pulse. I hope you have a splendid weekend. I will be at the Nelson Mandela lecture. Looking forward to that. And we'll talk about it on Monday on the show. So have a magic weekend. Right now, it's time for the news at 6 with Greg.
Thank you again, Ashraf. Enjoy your weekend ahead. In this news update, South Africa removed from financial grey list and suspected kidnappers